This is page 2 of Study Guide 2. Number 11 is more order of operation. Notice we've got some parentheses in here that are raised to a power. So let's go ahead and rewrite our 9 plus our 6, and then our brace, and then we've got 6 plus 3, which is 9 squared minus 8. So now we'll just bring our 9 plus 6. Now we need to do this in here. If it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and do that as 81 minus 8, which is going to be 73. We still need to do our multiplication before addition, so let's go over here and do 73 times 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 1 is 43. So we got 9 plus 438. And then when you add 9 to 438, you'll get 7 carry 1, and you'll get 447. Number 12, we're doing subtraction. Well, when you subtract a negative, that's the same thing as addition. So I've got negative 4.3 plus 6.5. Let's take the difference in the two numbers. 6.5 minus 4.3, 2 decimal. And of the two, if you look at them without the signs, like the absolute value of them, this is the biggest one, so it will be a positive 2.2. 13 and 14 is evaluating and order of operation. So let's plug our numbers in first, and we'll write it under here. I've got 3, parentheses, 6 minus 3, close parentheses, cubed, minus 6 squared. So let's do our parentheses, and we'll take care of the cube. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this power too, since it's not affected by this part. So I've got equals 3, parentheses, 3 cubed, and then minus 36. Well, I've got to do my power first. Notice only this 3 is being cubed. So I've got 3, parentheses, 27, which is just times. You could do a dot there, minus 36. Still got to do our multiplication first. 27 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21, 81, minus 36. And if I could squeeze that in, I'll do that right there. Do a little borrowing. 6 from 11 is 5, and 3 from 7 is 4. So I'll do it just like that and say equals 45. Okay, another evaluation. Negative 6 times 4. You can do a dot or parentheses. Plus 3 times 6 minus 8 times 4 times 6. Now we've got a lot of multiplication, so since they're not attached to each other, let's go ahead and get those done. So I've got negative 24 plus 18 minus, and probably the easiest way to do that one, I don't know if it's either way, I've got 8 times 4 times 6. I think I'm going to do 8 times the 24, so I'm going to go over here and do 24 times 8. You can pair them up either way. You can say 32 times 6. You can say 48 times 4. It doesn't matter. Commutative property of multiplication. I'll let you put those together any way you want to choose. 4 times 8 is 32. 3 times 8 is 16. Plus 3 is 19. 192. So you've got a negative 24 plus 18, which is negative 6 minus 192. And a negative plus a negative is negative. And we just add them and we get 198. Number 15. 8, notice it says use a unit, and you're only going to have to use one, and you need to show your work on this. I believe I can squeeze it in over here. 8 feet per 1 hour. And I'll go ahead and put my unit multiplier, and I want my answer to be feet per minute. Well, feet's going to stay feet, and hours is going to change to minutes. So the units I need are 1 hour equals 60 minutes. Now I can write that 1 hour over 60 minutes, or I can do 60 minutes over 1 hour. Well, I need minutes on the bottom, so let's go ahead and put our minutes here. And we need our hours to cancel, so we'll put that on top. And if you struggle with these, one way you can do this is go ahead and cancel your units, and then circle the units that are left. I'm left feet on top, which leaves me feet, and minutes on the bottom. So I have the right units. Now I just have to do the arithmetic. Now we can cancel here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and multiply it. And then I can divide by 4 over 4. And I'll get 2 over 15 feet per minute. Now, if you choose to do, I'll put or, I'm going to leave that up to you. If you choose to do it as a decimal, you can divide, and I'm going to kind of squeeze it in here. 15 goes into 20 one time, and 15 goes into 50 three times, and it's going to start repeating threes because 15 goes into 50 again 3. So if you want to write it as a decimal, it would be 0.13, repeating just the 3 feet per minute. I think I would just leave it as the fraction in lowest terms. I think that's just as easy. Number 16, very similar. We're going to do 27 feet per hour. And we only need one unit multiplier. And we want to end up with yards per hour. Well, notice our hour is going to stay the same. So we're not going to change the time. We're only going to change the distance. So feet to yard, 1 yard equals 3 feet. Now let's see where we need it. Hours is on the bottom. We've got feet on the top, and we need yards on the top. So let's put our 1 yard up here. And let's put our 3 feet on the bottom. And let's just check units and see if that's what we want. Feet are gone. They cancel just like numbers. And we're left yards on top, which is what we want, and hours on the bottom, which is what we want. Now we can do the arithmetic. I'm going to go ahead and cancel since this was pretty easy. And I get 9 times 1, which is 9, over 1 times 1, which is 1, and that's just 9 yards per hour. Okay, Dave is scuba diving, which means he's below the surface of the water, and he's 27 feet below the surface. So if and I'm definitely not an artist, but if he's 27 feet, I'm going to put negative 27 feet below the surface. And then from there, he's going to descend down another 28 feet. So he's going to go down another 28. So negative 27 plus negative 28 is negative 55 feet. And you can just state it like that. You can say negative 55 feet, or you can say 55 feet below sea level, or below the surface. You can say it that way. But make sure you let me know one way or the other that it's negative, which implies that it's below the surface, or be sure and say below, or you could even say below here. But be sure and you make that statement, because if you just say 55 feet and don't tell me where, then you're implying that he's above the water. But we know if he's scuba diving, he's below the surface of the water. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers that we need to put in order from the smallest one to the greatest one. Now, I'm going to convert all these to decimals, which this one's already a decimal, which is 0.5. Negative 1/10 is negative 0.1. Negative 0.25 is already a decimal. Negative 1/5 is negative 0.2. And negative 3/4 is negative 0.75. Now, you can put those, if you don't know how to do that, you can just divide the denominator into the numerator to get them to decimals. Now, if you're going to compare them, I think the first thing I would do is look at all my negatives. And so this one's going to be your biggest one because it's the only positive one. But we need to see what's happening between 0 and negative 1. So let's draw a number line. And I'm going to put 0 here. And that 0.5 is just going to be over here because that's the biggest one. And let's put negative 1 about, that would work about right. So negative 0.1 is going to be, if you divide this in 10 sections, you're just 1 over. So negative 0.1 is going to be about right there. Negative 0.25 is going half of half. So 0.25 is going to be about right here. Negative 0.2, and I didn't do a very good job of that, but negative 0.1, negative 0.2 is going to be about right there. And if I write that as, try that again, negative 0.20, and so you've got your, and then if you do this one as 10, that might make it a little bit easier to compare them. So you've went 10, and then 20, and then 25. And then negative 0.75 is going to be half, and then another fourth, so it's going to be about right here. So you can see the order. There's the smallest one, and then your next one, this one, this one, and this one. Well, let's convert them back to what they were. So negative 0.75 is the negative 3/4. Okay, the next smallest one is the negative 0.25, which is the decimal. Negative 0.20 was the negative 1/5. Negative 1/10 is the fraction, negative 1/10. And then we jump over to the positive 0.5. Number 19 gives you the batting averages for 4 baseball players in 2006 and 2007. And every player went up, and we want to know who increased the most. And I should have added, and we'll add this when you get ready to take the test, that you do need to show your work. So I'm going to write them, and I'm going to leave them as decimals. That's the math teacher in me. So I'm going to take player A, and I've got 0.305, 305 batting average, minus 0.278. Okay, got to do a little borrowing. Well, I'm going to go over here and get it from the 2 and the 10 and borrow. 15. 8 from 15 is 7. 7 from 9 is 2. And 2 from 2 is 0. Okay. B, we've got 0.277 minus 0.259. Got a little bit of borrowing here. 9 from 17 is 8. 5 from 6 is 1. Okay, we already see this is the biggest change so far. C, 0.317 minus 0.292. 5, need to borrow a little bit. And 2, so we get 0.025. And you might even want to write them back over here if you wanted to. And then D, so again, A is still the biggest one right now. 0.296 minus 0.272. Don't have any borrowing. 2 from 6 is 4. 7 from 9 is 2. 0. And so if you had to rank them, you can see from largest to smallest, but it asks for the biggest change, and that would be player A. Okay, order these numbers from least to greatest. Let's do the same thing we did a while ago. Negative 1/8. If you write that as a decimal, divide 8 into 1, you'll get negative 0.125. 0.79, and I'm going to go ahead and put 0.790, even though it's negative positive. And then 3/8 is going to be I believe that's 375. Let's divide that one out. See, 3 times, and 7 times, and 5 times. And then negative 0.7, and then we'll make that 0.7007. We made them all thousandths, and that just makes them easy to compare. Now, these are going to be to the 2 to the left, and these are going to be to the right of 0. So all we again need is negative 1, 0, and 1. So let's do the two negatives first. Negative 0.125 is going to be 0.1 is, if you do 10 sections, so 0.125 is going to be about right here. Negative 0.125. And then 0.70 is 7 sections, so it's going to be quite a bit closer to negative 1. Okay, we've taken care of those. And then 0.375 is going to be about close to a third, so that would be 0.375. And then 0.79 is going to be about 0.8, so it's going to be somewhere over here a little bit closer. And then I'm just going to go back and change them as we had them over here as fractions. I'm sorry, you couldn't see that, so let me scoot that up just a little bit so you can see the place values. Negative 0.7, negative, that's the negative 1/8, that's the positive 3/8, and that's the positive 0.79. So smallest is the negative 0.7. The next one is the negative 1/8. The next one is the 3/8. And the largest one is the 0.79.